The botanical gardens had become Hana's favorite thinking place. 3 days after the pirate attack, she sat on a bench surrounded by strange glowing plants watching Kesh, Vera, and Tor play in the soft grass. They were gentler with each other now, more careful. The attack had changed them. They understood that their strength was not just for playing. Ambassador Reth found her there in the late afternoon. He'd been avoiding her since the attack, spending his time in meetings and writing reports. Now he stood at the garden entrance looking uncomfortable. "May I join you?" he asked. Hana patted the bench beside her. Of course, Reth sat carefully, maintaining distance. He watched the 3 cubs for several minutes without speaking. Finally he said, "I have spent 3 days trying to explain you to the council." "That sounds difficult," Hana said. "It is impossible," Reth admitted. "I tell them what happened and they do not believe me. They say my observations must be wrong. Humans cannot bond with apex predators. It violates every known rule of evolution and behavior. But I did," Hana said simply. "Yes." Reth turned to look at her.
Why? Why what?
"Why did you risk your life for alien children you did not know? Why do you care for predators that should terrify you? Why do you show kindness when logic says you should show fear?" Hana was quiet for a moment, thinking. "Can I tell you a story?" Reth nodded. 5 years ago, I lived in a colony on Mars," Hana began. "It was a small settlement, maybe 200 people. We were building a research station. I had a family there. My parents, my younger brother Jiho, my grandmother. We were happy." She paused, her eyes distant. "Then there was an accident. A systems failure. The life support crashed in one section. My family was in that section." Reth's stone-gray face softened slightly. "I am sorry. I survived because I was in a different building," Hana continued. "For weeks after, I felt so alone. I had people around me, but they felt distant. They didn't know what to say to me. I was broken and I didn't know how to fix myself." Tor approached, sensing her sadness. He pressed his head against her knee. Hana scratched behind his spine ridges absently. "Then one day, I found a small cat hiding in the storage area. It was skinny and scared. Nobody knew where it came from. Maybe it had been someone's pet and got loose. I started feeding it, taking care of it, and slowly I started feeling less broken." "The animal helped you heal," Reth said. "Yes," Hana agreed, "but not because it was useful. Because it needed me and I needed it. We fixed each other." She looked at Kesh, Vara, and Tor. "When I met these 3, I saw the same thing I'd seen in that cat. They were alone and scared and broken. I know what that feels like. So I tried to help them and they helped me." Reth was quiet for a long time. Then he asked, "Is this common among humans? This need to connect with others?" "Very common," Hana said. "Humans are social creatures. We survived on Earth by working together, by forming bonds. We bonded with our own families first, then our tribes, then other tribes. Eventually, we bonded with animals, with plants, with the land itself. We make connections because that's what keeps us alive. But Earth is a death world," Reth argued. "Your planet should have made you hard and cruel. Instead, it made you—" He struggled for the word, "kind," Hana suggested. "Recklessly compassionate," Reth said. "You see a dangerous predator and think, this could be my friend. You see danger and run toward it to help others. This should not be the behavior of apex predators," Hana smiled. "Maybe that's exactly the behavior of apex predators. Real strength isn't about being the scariest thing around. It's about protecting those who can't protect themselves." Kesh wandered over and sat at Reth's feet. The ambassador tensed. "He won't hurt you," Hana said. "He's just curious." Reth looked down at the large juvenile Vrexian. Up close, Kesh was even more impressive. His scales were dark and tough, his claws sharp, his teeth designed for tearing. He could kill Reth in seconds if he wanted to, but Kesh just sat there, head tilted, waiting. "May I touch him?" Reth asked quietly. "Ask him, not me," Hana said. Reth extended one hand slowly. Kesh sniffed it carefully, then pressed his head against the ambassador's palm. Reth's eyes widened. The scales were warm and smooth. "He's purring," Reth said in wonder. "He likes you," Hana translated. Vara and Tor approached next, curious about why Kesh was getting attention. Soon all 3 cubs were around Reth, seeking scratches and pets. The ambassador, who had spent his whole life believing in order and logic, found himself petting 3 apex predators and feeling a strange warmth in his chest. "How do you know where to scratch them?" Reth asked. "I pay attention," Hana said. "When I scratch here," she demonstrated behind Vera's spine ridges. "She closes her eyes and purrs. That means she likes it. When I touch here, she touched Vara's tail. She moves away. That means stop. It's about listening even when they don't use words. Reth practiced finding the spots that made Kesh purr louder. This is remarkable. This is just connection, Hana said. The same thing I do with them, humans did with wolves thousands of years ago. We saw past the danger to the potential. We offered food and safety, and they offered loyalty and companionship. And you believe this is humanity's greatest strength? Reth asked. I think it's everyone's greatest strength, Hana said. The ability to connect, to understand, to care. Humans just do it more openly than most species. Reth stood up slowly, still petting Kesh. The Council is afraid of humanity. They fear that if we allow humans into the galaxy, you will dominate through force. We don't want to dominate, Hana said firmly. We want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. We want friends and allies and partners. Earth is beautiful, but it's lonely being the only intelligent species there. What if I told you, Reth said carefully, that the Council wants to use you? They have conflicts they cannot solve, species that refuse to negotiate. They wonder if humans could bridge those gaps. Hana thought about this. Would we be helping people? Yes. Would we be forcing anyone to do things they don't want? No, Reth said. You would simply be present, offering perspective, showing that connection is possible. Then I would do it, Hana said. But on one condition. What condition? Kesh, Vara, and Tor come with me. Reth looked at the three cubs. They had returned to playing, chasing each other through the garden. Why? Because they're proof that change is possible, Hana said. They were angry and violent when I met them. Now they're gentle and protective. If these three can change, anyone can. They're living examples that the past doesn't have to define the future. Reth made a decision. I will recommend this to the Council. A trial program. Humans as mediators and peacekeepers working with reformed predators. It is unprecedented. Most good things are, Hana said. That evening, Reth called a meeting with Commander Thrix, Security Chief Quelix, and several other station leaders. Hana was invited to attend. I have completed my evaluation, Reth announced. My recommendation to the Council is this. Humanity should be granted provisional membership with specific roles. Humans possess a unique ability to form cross-species bonds. This ability could resolve conflicts that have plagued the galaxy for centuries. You were against humanity 3 days ago, Quelix pointed out. 3 days ago, I believed humans were dangerous deathworlders who would disrupt our peace, Reth said. I was correct about them being dangerous. I was wrong about everything else. He pulled up images from the pirate attack, showing Hana leading children to safety, the cubs protecting without killing, the cooperation between species that should have been impossible. Humans are dangerous the way a parent is dangerous, Reth continued. Protective, fierce when threatened, but fundamentally focused on care and connection. This is not a weakness. It is perhaps the strongest trait any species can possess. Thrix's antennae waved in agreement. Dr. Hana has transformed this station. Species that avoided each other now share meals. The Vrexian's cubs that terrorized us are now our protectors. She did this simply by being herself. I propose we make Station Valeris a training center, Reth said. We bring more humans here. We teach them about galactic cultures. We let them show us what humanity can offer. Dr. Hana will lead the program. Me? Hana squeaked. You are the proof of concept, Reth said. You and your 3 companions. If the Council sees what you have accomplished, they cannot deny humanity's value. Hana looked around the room at all the aliens watching her. A few months ago, they had all feared her. Now they looked at her with respect and hope. I'll do it, Hana said. But we do this right. No forcing connections, no manipulation. We just show people that friendship is possible. Agreed, Reth said. Outside the meeting room, Kesh, Vara, and Tor waited patiently. When Hana emerged, they surrounded her, seeking comfort and attention. She hugged each one, speaking softly in Korean. We're going to help people, she told them. Just like we helped those children. Just like we help each other. The 3 cubs purred their approval. Reth watched from the doorway. In his long life serving the Council, he had seen many strange things. But he had never seen anything quite like this. 1 small human and 3 apex predators bound by something stronger than logic, bound by love. And maybe, just maybe, that was exactly what the galaxy needed. The lights in the cargo bay shifted to emergency red. Warning sirens echoed through Station Valaris. Hana heard Commander Thrix's voice over the intercom, trying to sound calm but failing. All civilians to secure sections. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Around her, aliens panicked. They ran in different directions, some screaming, others freezing in fear. Hana watched the chaos and felt her heartbeat slow down. Her grandmother used to say that Earth had taught humans one important lesson. Panic kills faster than danger. Kesh Vara Tor, Hana said firmly in Korean. With me. The three cubs moved immediately to her sides. Their playful behavior vanished, replaced by alert focus. Kesh's spine ridges rose slightly. Vara's eyes tracked every movement. Tor pressed close to Hana's leg, ready to follow her anywhere. Ambassador Reth stood nearby, speaking urgently into his communicator. How many ships? What are they armed with? He listened, his stone-gray face showing the first real emotion Hana had seen. Fear. Get everyone to the reinforced sections. Seal the blast doors. Hana approached him. Ambassador, where are the children? Reth looked at her blankly. What? The young ones, Hana said. I've seen alien students on this station. Where are they gathered? Section 4, Reth said. The educational wing. But the staff will evacuate them. An explosion rocked the station. The lights flickered. Through the cargo bay windows, Hana saw a pirate ship attaching to one of the docking ports. They're boarding, someone screamed. Hana pulled up her datapad and checked the station map. Section 4 was on the other side of the station, past 3 docking bays. If pirates were boarding there, the children's evacuation route would be cut off. She made a decision. I'm going to Section 4, Hana announced. Reth grabbed her arm. That's suicide. The pirates are between here and there. Hana gently removed his hand. Then I'll go around them. She looked at her 3 companions. Are you with me? Kesh made a deep rumbling sound that meant yes. Vara chirped her agreement. Tor pressed closer. His way of saying he'd follow her anywhere. You cannot fight pirates with 3 juveniles, Reth protested. I'm not going to fight, Hana said. I'm going to get children to safety. There's a difference. She started walking toward a service corridor. The cubs followed in perfect formation. Reth watched them go, then cursed in his own language and ordered his security team to follow at a distance. The service corridors were narrow and dark. Hana used her datapad's light to navigate. She could hear distant sounds of fighting, weapons firing, and aliens shouting. The cubs stayed close, their enhanced senses alert to danger. They reached a junction where 2 corridors met. Hana peeked around the corner and saw 3 pirates dragging equipment from a storage room. They were big, covered in armor, and carrying weapons that looked very dangerous. Hana pulled back and thought quickly. She couldn't go through them. She needed another route. She checked her map. There was a ventilation shaft nearby, large enough for her and the cubs to crawl through. It would take longer, but it was safer. This way, she whispered, pointing to a wall panel. Kesh understood immediately. He used his claws to pry open the panel, revealing the shaft behind it. Hana climbed in first, then called softly for the cubs to follow. They moved silently through the tight space, their predator instincts making them naturally stealthy. 20 minutes later, they emerged in Section 4. The educational wing was chaos. Young aliens of various species huddled together, crying. 2 adult staff members tried to organize them, but they looked terrified. The route is blocked, one teacher said. A floating, jellyfish-like creature. We cannot reach the secure section. How many children? Hana asked. The teachers jumped at her sudden appearance, then stared at the 3 Vrexians behind her. 15, the other teacher managed to say. But we cannot move them safely. Hana counted the children. They ranged from very small to about half her size. Different species, different needs. She needed a plan. Okay, Hana said, keeping her voice calm. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to move together as one group. The cubs and I will keep you safe. Those are Vrexians, the floating teacher said, wobbling with fear. They're my friends, Hana said simply, and they're very good at protecting people. An explosion, closer this time, made the children scream. Through the doorway, Hana saw pirates entering the corridor, 5 of them, all armed, all moving with the confidence of people who'd done this many times before. Everyone behind me, Hana ordered. Now. The teachers and children scrambled to obey. Hana stood in the doorway, her 3 cubs spreading out beside her. To anyone watching, it might have looked foolish. 1 small human and 3 juveniles facing 5 armed pirates. But the pirates stopped when they saw the Vrexians. "Back away slowly," the lead pirate said to his crew. "Those are Vrexians. They're just babies," another pirate scoffed. But his weapon shook in his hands. Hana spoke quietly in Korean. "Protect. Do not kill," the cubs understood. This wasn't playtime. This wasn't practice. This was real, Kesh roared. It wasn't the cute growl from the botanical gardens. This was the sound of an apex predator defending its pack. The sound echoed through the corridor, primal and terrifying. The pirates opened fire, but Vrexians were fast. Incredibly fast. Kesh dodged left, Vera right, Tor dropped low. They moved like liquid shadows, their juvenile bodies already showing the speed and grace they'd have as adults. Hana dropped to the ground, pulling 2 small children down with her. "Stay low," she called to everyone behind her. Kesh reached the first pirate in 3 bounds. He didn't use his claws or teeth. Instead, he slammed into the pirate with his full weight, knocking the alien to the ground and pinning him there. The pirate's weapon clattered away. Vera went for the second pirate's weapon, clamping her jaws around the barrel and twisting. The weapon broke. The pirate screamed and ran. Tor, the youngest, was still learning. He hesitated, unsure. A pirate aimed at him. Hana threw her data pad. It wasn't heavy enough to hurt anyone, but it hit the pirate's helmet, distracting him for 1 crucial second. Long enough for Tor to leap and knock the pirate down. The remaining 2 pirates looked at their unconscious or fleeing companions, then at the 3 Vrexians who stood between them and their targets. One of them said something that the translator couldn't process, probably a curse, and they both ran. Hana stood up slowly, her legs shaking. "Is everyone okay?" The children and teachers stared at her in shock. Then one small alien who looked like a fuzzy starfish started crying, not from fear but from relief. Others joined in. "We need to move," Hana said gently, "before more come." "Can everyone walk?" They could. Hana led the group through the service corridors she'd memorized, avoiding the main routes where pirates would be. The cubs took turns leading and guarding the rear, working together without needing to be told. They found Security Chief Quelix and his team halfway to the secure section. The 4-armed alien stopped in his tracks when he saw the parade of children following a human and her 3 predators. "How did you—" Quelix began. "Later," Hana said. "Can you get them to safety?" Quelix nodded and directed his team to escort the civilians. As they passed, several children reached out to touch Hana's hand or the cubs' scales, thanking them in various languages. Ambassador Reth appeared from another corridor, his security team behind him. "The pirates are retreating," he reported. "Station defenses held them off, but they caused significant damage." He looked at Hana, then at the cubs, then at the rescued children being led away. "You went into danger," he said quietly. "When everyone else hid, you ran toward the threat." "The children needed help," Hana said simply. "And these predators," Reth continued, gesturing at Kesh, Vara, and Tor. "They could have killed those pirates easily, but they showed restraint. I told them to protect, not kill," Hana explained. "They understand the difference." Reth was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something Hana had never seen him do. He bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. "I was wrong about humans," he said. "I came here believing you were dangerous. I was correct about that, but danger is not the same as evil." "You are dangerous in the way a guard is dangerous, protective, controlled." Hana smiled tiredly. "We're just people, Ambassador. We protect those we care about. That's all." Kesh made a soft rumbling sound and pressed his head against Hana's shoulder. She scratched behind his spine ridges absently. "No," Reth said, watching the interaction. "You are not just people. You are something the galaxy has never seen before, and I believe we need more of you." Later that night, after the pirates had fled and the station began repairs, Hana sat in her quarters with her 3 cubs curled around her. They were exhausted, but safe, all of them together, like they were meant to be. Outside her window, the stars shone steady and bright. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. But tonight, 1 human and 3 apex predators slept peacefully, knowing they'd done something good. They'd protected their family. 3 weeks had passed since Hana arrived at Station Valeris, and everything had changed. Well, everything except Hana herself. She still woke up early, made terrible coffee in her quarters, and hummed Earth songs while working on her research notes. The difference was that now she had company. Kesh, the largest of the 3 Rexian cubs, slept outside her door every night. She'd tried to get him to sleep inside where it was warmer, but he preferred the hallway. He said it was his job to guard the entrance. At least that's what Hana thought he was saying through his growls and chirps. She'd gotten better at understanding them. Vera, the clever one with brighter scales, had figured out that certain sounds Hana made meant specific things. When Hana said come in Korean, Vara came. When she said stay, Vara stayed. The cub was smart and learned quickly. Sometimes Hana caught Vara watching her mouth when she spoke, trying to connect the sounds to meanings. Tor, the smallest and youngest, was the most affectionate. He followed Hana everywhere, constantly wanting attention. Right now he was curled up under her desk while she worked, his tail wrapped around her ankle. Hana scratched behind Tor's spine ridges with her foot while typing her daily report. She'd learned that all three cubs loved being scratched there. It made them purr like giant, scaly cats. A chime at her door interrupted her work. "Come in," she called. The door slid open and Commander Thrix entered, staying carefully in the doorway. The commander's eyes fixed on Kesh, who had stood up and moved protectively closer to Hana. "It's okay, Kesh," Hana said gently. "Friend." Kesh sat down but didn't take his eyes off Thrix. "Dr. Hana," Thrix began, antennae twitching nervously. "We need to discuss the situation." "What situation?" Hana asked, genuinely confused. "The Vrexians," Thrix said. "They follow you everywhere. They sleep near your quarters. Yesterday you brought them to the cafeteria." "They needed to eat," Hana said simply. "The nutrition paste you were giving them wasn't enough for growing cubs." "They are not cubs," Thrix said firmly. "They are juvenile apex predators. Before you arrived, they attacked 3 station members. They destroyed property. They are dangerous." Hana looked at Tor, who was still peacefully sleeping under her desk. They were scared and alone. Their clan was destroyed. They had trauma and nobody tried to help them. "We tried to relocate them," Thrix protested. "They refused containment. They became aggressive." "Because you treated them like animals," Hana said. "They're children, Commander. They needed someone to care about them, not just manage them." Thrix's antennae drooped. "I do not understand how you did this. Every species analysis said it was impossible. Vrexians cannot be domesticated. They cannot form bonds with prey species." "I'm not prey," Hana said. "I'm their friend." Before Thrix could respond, alarms blared through the station. The commander's translator device crackled with urgent messages. "Security breach in Docking Bay 3, unknown hostile." Thrix ran from the room. Hana stood up, nearly tripping over Tor. "Stay here," she told the 3 cubs. Then she grabbed her datapad and followed the commander. The docking bay was chaos. A large reptilian alien, scales covered in decorative metal, had pushed past security. Station guards surrounded him, but nobody moved to physically stop him. He was holding a small alien child by the arm, dragging the crying youngster behind him. "Payment was due 5 cycles ago," the reptilian alien hissed. "Your father's debts are now yours to pay." The child, who looked like a small version of Commander Thrix, sobbed and tried to pull away. "Please, my father is gone. I have nothing." Hana felt anger rise in her chest. She pushed through the crowd before she could think better of it. "Let the child go." The reptilian alien turned to look at her. His eyes widened slightly when he saw she was human, then narrowed with contempt. "A Deathworlder. How amusing. This is not your concern, human. You're hurting a child," Hana said firmly. "That makes it my concern." The alien laughed. "And what will you do about it, soft one?" He took a step toward her, his free hand moving to a weapon at his belt. That's when 3 juvenile Vrexians appeared behind Hana. They hadn't stayed in her quarters like she'd asked. Of course they hadn't. They'd followed her scent through the station, and now they stood in a perfect fighting formation. Kesh in front, Vara and Tor flanking. Their spine ridges were fully extended. Their claws were out. Their eyes glowed with something that went beyond animal aggression. This was a pack protecting one of their own. The reptilian alien's hand froze on his weapon. His scales paled. "Vrexians," he whispered. "Yes," Hana said calmly. "And they're my friends. Now let the child go." The alien released the young one immediately. The child ran to Commander Thrix, who had just arrived with more security. "You can't control them," the alien said, his voice shaking. "They're wild predators." Hana turned and looked at her 3 companions. "Kesh," she said in Korean. "Sit." Kesh sat, though his eyes never left the threat. "Vara." "Tor, stay close." The 2 younger cubs moved to stand beside their brother, forming a wall between Hana and the alien. The reptilian alien backed toward his ship. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is," Commander Thrick said, moving forward with security. "You have no authority here. Leave now or be detained." The alien ran to his ship. Within minutes, he'd undocked and fled. The crowd slowly dispersed, whispering among themselves. Hana knelt down to check on the three cubs. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. Kesh pressed his head against her shoulder. Vara made a questioning chirp. Tor was shaking slightly. "I know," Hana said, switching to Korean. "That was scary. But you did so well. You protected that child without hurting anyone. I'm proud of you." She didn't notice that half the station was watching through various cameras and windows. She didn't see the looks of amazement on alien faces. She just hugged her three scared cubs and told them they were good. Later that evening, Hana sat in the cafeteria with her dinner. The cubs sat nearby, eating their own meal. For the first time since she'd arrived, other aliens approached her table. A small furry creature that looked like a cross between a rabbit and a fox placed a drink in front of her. "For the human," it said shyly. "Thank you for helping Thrix's nephew." More aliens followed. They brought food, trinkets, small gifts. They thanked her for stopping the aggressive alien. They asked about the cubs. Some even asked if they could pet them, which made Hana laugh. "Only if they want to be petted," she said. "Ask them first." A few brave aliens extended their hands. Vara sniffed one, then allowed a careful pat. The alien's face lit up with joy. By the end of the evening, the cafeteria was full of aliens talking with Hana, asking questions about Earth and humans. The cubs lay around her table, relaxed and content. Quelix, the four-armed security chief, watched from the doorway. He'd spent weeks investigating Hana, searching for evidence of mind control technology or pheromone manipulation. He'd found nothing. She was just a young human who showed kindness to creatures everyone else feared. It made no sense by any known scientific understanding. And yet, there she sat, laughing with aliens who'd avoided her just weeks ago, surrounded by three apex predators who would die to protect her. Quelix made a note in his report. Request additional human cultural studies. Current xenobiology models are incomplete. Back at the table, Tor had placed his head in Hana's lap, seeking affection. She scratched his spine ridges while discussing Earth weather with a plant-based alien. "We have seasons," she explained. "In my home, winter is very cold and summer is very hot." "Fascinating," the plant alien said. "And these seasons do not harm your species?" Hana shrugged. "We adapt. That's what humans do best." Kesh made a low rumble. Hana looked down to see him staring at her with those bright yellow eyes. "What is it?" she asked. He bumped her hand with his snout, then placed one massive paw on her knee. Hana understood. "Yes," she said softly in Korean. "We're family now. All of us." The three cubs made contented sounds and settled closer to her. Around the cafeteria, aliens watched and whispered. The strange human and her impossible companions had become the station's most interesting mystery. But to Hana, there was no mystery. Just three young ones who needed love, and a human who had enough to give. Ambassador Reth arrived on Station Valaris with 3 assistants and a long list of concerns about humanity. He was tall and thin, with gray skin that looked like stone and eyes that showed no warmth. His species, the Korthan, had been part of the Galactic Council for thousands of years. They valued order, logic, and tradition. They did not value surprises, and humans were full of surprises. "Show me everything," Reth demanded as soon as he stepped off his ship. "I want to see how this human operates." Commander Thrix led the ambassador and his group through the station. "Dr. Hana has been exemplary," Thrix said. "Her research is valuable and she has caused no problems." "No problems?" Reth pulled up a datapad. "According to reports, she keeps 3 Vrexian juveniles as companions. She takes them to public areas. She treats apex predators like domestic animals. They have bonded with her," Thrix tried to explain. "Impossible," Reth said flatly. "Vrexians are Category 5 predators. They cannot bond with prey species. There must be another explanation. They found Hana in the station's cargo bay. She'd been given permission to use the space for exercise since her quarters were small. What Reth saw when he entered made him stop in his tracks. Hana was running. Behind her, 3 large Vrexian juveniles chased her, their claws clicking on the metal floor. She was laughing. When she reached the far wall, she spun around and pointed at Vera. "Tag!" You're it. Vara skidded to a stop. The cub looked at Kesh and Tor, then started chasing them instead. What is happening? Reth asked, his voice tight. They're playing, Thrick said quietly. She taught them an Earth game. Reth watched as the largest predator carefully avoided using his full speed. When he caught Tor, he gently tapped the younger cub with one paw. Claws retracted. Tor chirped and changed direction, now chasing Hana again. This is unnatural, Reth said. She must be using technology. Scan for pheromone emitters, neural manipulators, anything. His assistants pulled out scanning devices and checked the area thoroughly. After several minutes, they looked at each other and shook their heads. Nothing, Ambassador. No technology detected. Hana noticed the visitors. She waved cheerfully, breathing hard from running. Hello, new arrivals? The three cubs immediately moved to her side, forming a protective triangle around her. They watched the strangers with wary eyes. I am Ambassador Reth of the Galactic Council, Reth announced. I am here to evaluate human suitability for membership. Oh, wonderful, Hana said, walking toward them. The cubs moved with her, maintaining their protective formation. I'm Dr. Hana. These are my friends, Kesh, Vara, and Tor. They are not your friends, Reth said coldly. They are predators. Hana's smile faded slightly. They're both. Just like humans can be both gentle and dangerous. Humans are deathworlders, Reth stated. You come from a planet so hostile that you had to become apex predators yourselves. This makes you dangerous to civilized space. We're only dangerous if threatened, Hana said quietly. Otherwise, we're just people trying to live peacefully. Reth turned to Thrix. I want full documentation. How did she do this? What methods did she use? Over the next few days, Reth interviewed everyone on the station. He watched hours of security footage. He read every report about Hana's interactions with the cubs. And slowly, despite his prejudices, he began to understand. Hana hadn't used technology or tricks. She'd simply been kind. On the third day, Reth confronted her in her quarters. Kesh stood between them, growling softly. Explain to me how this is possible, Reth demanded. Every scientific model says Vrexians cannot bond with other species. They are solitary predators. They do not form packs. Hana sat on her bed, Tor curled up beside her. They were alone and traumatized. Their whole clan died. They needed someone. Many species experience trauma, Reth argued. That does not explain this bond. Hana was quiet for a moment. On Earth long ago there were wild wolves. They were dangerous predators that hunted humans. But some humans saw past the danger. They fed the wolves, protected them, treated them with kindness. Over time, those wolves became dogs. Humans turned one of their greatest threats into their best friends. You compare yourself to ancient humans? Reth asked. All humans have this ability, Hana said. We survived on Earth not by being the strongest or fastest, but by making allies. We befriended horses, cats, birds, even insects. We see potential companions everywhere. This is madness, Reth said, but his voice was less certain now. Maybe, Hana agreed, but it works. Vara, who had been listening quietly, moved to sit beside Hana. The cub looked at Reth with intelligent eyes and made a series of chirps. What did it say? Reth asked. She said that I'm her pack now, Hana translated, and she would die to protect me. Reth felt something cold in his chest. You understand their language? Some of it, Hana admitted. I've been studying their sounds and body language. They're very smart. They just needed someone to pay attention. That evening, Reth called an emergency meeting with Commander Thrix and Security Chief Quellix. I need to understand the implications, he said. If humans can do this with Vrexians, what else can they do? We've been analyzing Earth's history, Quellix said, pulling up data. Humans have domesticated over 40 different species on their planet. They've formed peaceful relationships with hundreds more. They even made alliances with other human groups that were once enemies. They are persistent in making connections, Thrix added. When we first isolated Dr. Hana, she simply waited patiently and continued being friendly. She never showed aggression or resentment. Reth studied the data. This ability could be valuable for the Council. We have many conflicts between species that refuse to cooperate. Or it could be dangerous, Quellix warned. If humans can bond with apex predators, they could potentially raise armies of dangerous creatures. Does Dr. Hana seem like someone building an army? Thrix asked pointedly. Reth had to admit she did not. He'd watched her carefully for 3 days. She was gentle, patient, and genuinely kind. She treated the cubs like children, not weapons. But that didn't mean all humans were like her. The next morning, Reth made his decision. He entered the cargo bay where Hana was teaching the cubs to fetch a ball. It was ridiculous watching apex predators chase a rubber sphere, but they seemed to enjoy it. "Dr. Hana," Reth called, "I must inform you of my preliminary decision." Hana threw the ball one more time, then walked over to him. The cubs stayed back but watched carefully. "The council cannot approve full human membership at this time," Reth said formally. "Your species is too unpredictable." Hana's face fell. "I see. However," Reth continued, "I am recommending a trial program. Humans will be allowed to serve as mediators and peacekeepers in conflicts involving aggressive species. You have demonstrated an ability we did not know was possible." "You want to use us?" Hana asked carefully. "I want to learn from you," Reth corrected. "The galaxy has many species that cannot communicate peacefully. Perhaps humans can bridge those gaps." Hana thought about this. "What about Cash, Vera, and Tor? They will stay with you?" Reth said. "They are evidence that change is possible." Before Hana could respond, alarms blared through the station. Reth's communicator crackled urgently. "Ambassador, we have a situation. Unauthorized ships approaching. They're broadcasting pirate codes." Reth's face went hard. "Battle stations. Protect the civilians." Hana looked at her 3 cubs. They sensed her tension and moved closer, their bodies tense and ready. "It's going to be okay," she told them in Korean, but she wasn't sure she believed it. The pirates had chosen the wrong station to attack, not because of its defenses, which were minimal, but because this station had something the pirates didn't expect: a human who made friends with monsters, and 3 monsters who would do anything to protect their human. Hana stepped off the transport ship and took her first breath of Station Valeris air. It smelled sterile and cold, nothing like the recycled air back on Earth's orbital stations. She adjusted the strap of her research bag and smiled at the alien standing before her. The creature looked like a giant mantis wearing clothes, with 4 thin arms and large compound eyes that reflected the station's harsh lights. "Dr. Hana," the alien said, its translator device converting clicks and chirps into words. "I am Commander Thrix. Welcome to Station Valeris." Hana bowed politely, a habit from home. "Thank you for having me. I'm excited to begin my research." Thrix's antennae twitched in a way Hana couldn't interpret. "Yes, your quarters are in Section 7. It is isolated for everyone's safety." "Quarantine protocols?" Hana asked cheerfully. "I understand completely." Thrix didn't correct her. Instead, the commander gestured with 2 of its arms toward a corridor. "Follow me. Stay close. Do not wander." As they walked through the station, Hana noticed something strange. Every alien they passed moved away from her. Some pressed themselves against the walls. Others ducked into doorways. A small furry creature actually squeaked and ran. Hana frowned but said nothing. Maybe humans smelled bad to aliens? She'd have to research that. Her quarters were nice, but clearly far from everything else. The room had a bed, a desk, and a small window showing the stars outside. Thrix handed her a data pad with a map of the station. "The red zones are forbidden," Thrix said firmly. "The yellow zones are restricted. You may only visit green zones." Hana looked at the map. There were a lot of red and yellow zones. "What about the botanical gardens? I'd love to see alien plant life." Thrix's antennae drooped. "The gardens are technically green, but I advise against visiting alone." "I'll be careful," Hana promised. After Thrix left, Hana unpacked her things and changed into more comfortable clothes. She was too excited to rest. A real alien space station. She'd dreamed of this since childhood. Grabbing her data pad, she headed toward the botanical gardens. The gardens were beautiful. Strange plants and colors she'd never seen grew under artificial sunlight. Some flowers glowed. Others moved on their own, tracking her movement with something like curiosity. Hana took photos and made notes, completely absorbed in her work. She didn't notice she wasn't alone until she heard the growl. Hana turned around slowly. 3 creatures stood between her and the exit. They were big, maybe the size of large dogs with bodies that seemed part reptile and part cat. Their scales were dark blue and black. Their eyes were bright yellow and their mouths were full of very sharp teeth. Currently, those mouths were open wide, showing off every single tooth. The largest one stepped forward, its spine ridges rising up like a threat display. It made a sound deep in its chest, a rumbling warning that Hana felt in her bones. The creature's claws extended from its paws, each one as long as her finger. A strange smell filled the air, something that made her brain whisper danger and run. Hana looked at the three creatures. They were clearly trying to scare her. The big one's eyes were narrowed, its body tense. The other two flanked it, creating a hunting formation. They probably did this often, judging by how coordinated they were. And then Hana laughed. She couldn't help it. They looked like puppies. Angry, scale-covered puppies with too many teeth, but still puppies. The way the big one puffed up its chest. The way the smallest one kept glancing at the others for approval. It was adorable. The creatures froze. The growling stopped. All three stared at her with identical expressions of confusion. Hana sat down on the ground, cross-legged, still chuckling. "Oh, you guys are so cute," she said in Korean, her voice warm. "Such scary babies." "Yes, you are. Yes, you are." The largest creature tilted its head. It took a cautious step forward, then another. Hana held out her hand, palm down, the way she'd greet a nervous dog. The creature sniffed her hand, its nostrils flaring. Then it opened its mouth and lunged. Hana bopped it on the nose with 2 fingers. "No," she said firmly. "We don't bite." The creature jerked back, eyes wide with shock. In all its young life, nothing had ever done that. Prey ran, Prey screamed. Prey didn't bop you on the nose and scold you. The other two looked at each other, then at their leader. Then back at Hana. The smallest one made a questioning chirp. "Come here," Hana said softly, patting the ground beside her. "I won't hurt you." The creatures didn't move. They stood there trying to figure out what was happening. Their instinct said this small, soft thing should be terrified. But she wasn't. She was smiling at them. The scent coming from her wasn't fear. It was something else. Something warm. Hana reached into her bag and pulled out her lunch. She unwrapped a protein bar and broke off a piece. "Are you hungry?" she asked. She tossed the piece to the largest creature. It caught the food in its mouth automatically, then chewed. Its eyes widened. It made a pleased rumbling sound. "Thought so," Hana said. "You're just kids, aren't you? Trying to act tough because you're scared." She broke off 2 more pieces and tossed them to the other creatures. Soon all 3 were sitting closer, eating pieces of protein bar and watching her with cautious interest. Hana talked to them in Korean while they ate, her voice gentle. She told them about her trip to the station, about Earth, about how much she missed her dog back home. The creatures didn't understand the words, but they understood the tone. Slowly, their aggressive postures relaxed. When the food was gone, the largest creature moved closer. It sniffed her knee, then her hand, then made a decision. It pressed its large head against her palm. Hana scratched behind its spine ridges. The creature's eyes closed and it made a deep rumbling purr. "There we go," Hana whispered. "Not so scary now, are you?" She didn't see Commander Thrix watching from a hidden camera feed, its antennae rigid with shock. She didn't know that those 3 creatures were Vrexian juveniles, apex predators that had terrorized the station for months. She had no idea that what she'd just done was considered impossible by every species in the known galaxy. She just knew that 3 scared children had tried to frighten her, and she'd made some new friends instead. When Hana finally left the gardens an hour later, 3 juvenile Vrexians followed behind her like ducklings following their mother. She looked back at them and smiled. "Well, come on then," she said. "Let me show you where I live." The creatures chirped in response and followed her home. Across the station, alarms began to sound. Not danger alarms, confusion alarms. Because security feeds showed a human walking calmly through the corridors with 3 juvenile apex predators trailing behind her. And nobody knew what to do about it. Nobody except Hana, who had already decided that these 3 needed someone to care about them, and that was all that mattered.